everybody, it's Carolina from Rose Sperling Paint Company, and today we're going to be showing you two color distressing with the Annie Sloan Chalk Paint. Now, color distressing is a great way to give your new pieces that old vintage worn-in look, and I'm going to be using Annie Sloan Graphite, which is a really dark kind of a charcoal color with old white on top. Now, normally when you do distressing, you want to put the darker color on the bottom and lighter color on top, but have fun and play around with whatever colors work for you. These have already been pre-painted. I painted them last night. They were given 24 hours to dry. So again, this is the graphite. And on top, we are going to be putting on the old white. It's kind of a creamy, farmhouse, warm color. You don't have to be too particular about this. Don't overthink it. You just kind of want to slap it on. You do want to make sure, however, that you paint in the direction of the wood. So in this case, the wood grain runs from top to bottom. You don't want to go across like this. And you want to work pretty quickly with the chalk paint. It dries very fast. You don't have a whole lot of working time. Just remember, have fun, and we're distressing, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Normally, I like to put on one coat of the bottom color. That'll be usually your darker color. And 2 coats of the top coat color, the lighter color, just so that when we sand it off, we don't sand everything off at once. We have a little bit of a thickness there. Now remember, when you're done with your paintbrush, rinse it off right away with some warm water so you can save it for next time. And this is what it will look like. I've already got one prepared here. This one has been drying for 24 hours. So remember, it's got the graphite on the bottom, that's the charcoal color, and the old white on top. For sanding, you want to take some liquid sandpaper. I've got a sheet right here. Before you get started with your sandpaper, here's a little trick. Take your sheet, fold it in half, and tear it. So now you've got 2 halves. Take one of those halves, fold it in half again, and then tear it so you've got quarters. Now when you've got your quarters, you want to fold them in half one more time, but don't tear them. Just make a little crease in the middle so you end up with 2 little books like this. Stick one inside the other, and that way when you're sanding, it grips itself. It's not sliding around all over the place on you. Now if you're doing a larger piece, I would suggest taking your item outside, because when you sand the chalk paint, it's very powdery. It's like a fine dusting of flour, so it does tend to get a little messy. And when you sand, start gently. You want to just kind of think about the natural wear and tear that your piece will have. So usually that happens around the edges. So you want to give the edges a good sand. If it's a drawer, then it will probably be around the handle also. If it's a chair, it will be around the legs where people might rest their feet. You can start to see that on the edges, we're getting a little bit of that graphite color peeking through. It just gives your piece a little bit of nice definition. So right down here on the bottom, we'll do a little distressing. Again, you can start to see that graphite peeking through right there on the edge, just to give your piece a little bit more visual interest. Like it's been around for a few years, not bought a couple of months ago. Now when you're distressing, I always suggest start gently, and every once in a while just kind of check in with your piece. See if you've gone a little too far in some places or not enough in others. Because remember, you can always keep sanding, but if you sand off too much, then you will have to start all over again. So again, just do a little sanding around the edges, just to reveal the color underneath. Now you can see how powdery this is, which is why I always recommend that larger pieces you do outside, just to kind of minimize on the dust. And when you're done, take an old t-shirt, clean cotton cloth. You just want to get rid of all of this dust. before you go on to your finish stage, which will be your wax. We'll talk a little bit about waxing your pieces to protect them in our next video, so stay tuned. And this is two color distressing. Happy painting!